time for FM104's showbiz gossip on the Strawberry.
Right, no prizes for guessing what the only story basically all over the globe today is. The lovely Karen Koster is with us from Xposé, and what a day for you to be with us.
I'm telling
you. In
your
particular business, and we're delighted she's with us, particularly because in relation to this story, she's pulled in some of the heavy hitters of the entertainment industry to give us the lowdown.
That's right, for people just waking up, it's true, Michael Jackson has died, and we have the Irish Mirror's Paul Martin with us to give us his reaction, because Paul, you are a massive Michael Jackson fan, aren't you?
Yeah, well, Karen, as you know, on the set of Xposé, if we're doing our little link-ups or whatever, I'm always doing little Michael Jackson dances, and look, he was my idol, I've been the showbiz editor of the Mirror now for 10 years, and, I take meeting a celebrity probably like yourself with a pinch of salt, but... If there's one person I can honestly say above all that I've always respected and always had great admiration for, it's Michael Jackson. And, beyond, being a media story or a showbiz story or anything like that, I'm just absolutely devastated today.
That's what I was going to say, because, you become a little bit jaded when you hear things like this happening. What was your reaction? Were you just completely stunned? And when did you hear? Did you hear first?
Yeah, well, I literally got a text message, actually from Island AM on TV3, literally a text message saying there's just news has broken because I'm away in Spain at the minute, and, I turned on CNN and Sky News and all the other stations, and it was literally around the clock that Michael Jackson had suffered a suspected cardiac arrest and was on his way to hospital. Now, that was shocking enough.
That's unbelievable.
Then within an hour, they're unofficially pronouncing him dead, and really since then it's just been surreal. I've been up all night, like most people, probably watching all the news coverage, and it's just really, it just hasn't sunk in. It's the nearest thing we'll have in our generation to what people went through maybe when Elvis died. Yeah. And it just really hasn't sunk in, and as a massive fan of him, I'm completely gutted.
Paul, did you ever meet the man himself?
Only once, and very briefly. It was in a lineup actually when he came over to London in 2001, I think it was, just before he did his shows at Madison Square Garden with his brothers. And I know many people who've spent more time with him than I have, but from my own personal experience with him, a very, very charismatic yet very humble kind of man. He had this aura around him of a major superstar, yet when you were talking to him and shaking his hand one-on-one, he was just so down to earth and friendly, and not at all the kind of man that he's painted to be in the media. So my experience of him was very good, and indeed anybody who ever got close to Michael would say that he was one of the most caring and humane people you could actually ever meet.
That's an interesting point, Paul, because obviously we can't completely gloss over the fact that there was a whole aspect to his personal life that was called into question time and time again. And obviously now, kind of in hindsight, people are looking back. At the moment, there's a huge outpouring of sympathy and grief and all that sort of stuff. But over the next couple of days, how do you think the story will pan out? Do you think people will return to the focus on some of the more salacious aspects?
I think, that's undoubted. I don't think we're going to go see people delving into the whole child abuse allegations. I don't think we'll be going down that road, but I think what you will see is, of course, a massive outpouring of grief and emotion for the next couple of days. And then maybe, of course, once the reports come through from his autopsy and his toxicology test, there's obviously and quite clearly going to be a lot of very big headlines about, was he on medication? Did he overdose? There's really rumours today that he was on a very high dose of Demerol, painkillers. And obviously we saw all the widespread reports that he allegedly had skin cancer, something that he denied himself. So there are a lot of unanswered questions, and once this all settles down, there's going to be obviously every newspaper and magazine worth their salt is going to be out there trying to find out you'll have the Michael Jackson, his final hours, what he was really putting into his system. Was he really unhappy? Was he confident he's going to get through with the show? So there's a lot of digging to be done, and I'm sure there will be those salacious stories as much in death as in his life.
And I'm sure, Paul, we'll see you back on Xposé very soon chatting about this, and of course in the Irish Mirror as well. Paul, thank you very much for joining us today.
Cheers, thanks a lot, Paul.
Also tonight,
that was Paul Martin, of course, by the way, from the Irish Mirror, and we're grateful to him for taking the call at the last minute and giving us his insight into the whole situation.
Completely. And also tonight, our whole show, Xposé, at 6 o'clock on TV3, is going to be dedicated to Michael Jackson. We're going to be bringing you celebrity reactions, fan reactions, some stuff that maybe you won't get on Irish channels. We'll be able to bring you stuff that's coming in straight from America. So if you're a fan, even if you're not, if you're just intrigued by his whole story, it'll be well worth tuning in for.
That is the key to it, isn't it? People, regardless of whether or not they would regard themselves as a Michael Jackson fan, are going to be enthralled by this whole story as it plays out. Karen, thanks a million for that, and thanks a million for getting Paul Martin for us from the Irish Mirror to chat to us about the whole Michael Jackson thing. You will hear Michael Jackson wall to wall in every respect, from a news perspective and television and radio and all the rest of it, right across the board. Stick around, lots more on the way after 9.